So you found the skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hey everybody, what's going on? They can't hear you yet. I haven't unmuted you yet. But now I've unmuted you. Now they can hear you. Sorry,
Hi everybody, what's going on?
I kept myself muted because some audio came through that I wasn't expecting to come through, so rather than subject you guys to that double audio horribleness, I just kept myself muted for a little bit. Anyway, we are here with Kent with Bent. What is this 29?
29!
Man, I feel like every time I look back, I'm like, wow, have we really done that many of these? But yeah, I'll double check several times to make sure I'm not on the wrong number. We're not on the wrong number.
I feel like we've done 7 or 8.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Oh, hey, and we've got nice audience here. Look at this. We got Icarus in here. Evolution number 9. Man, German Furman, who by the way provided the theme art for one of my, or the fan art for one of my recent videos. We got Maya, of course, Smitty, Monk Mayfair, Trim Tarask. All right, I'm sure I'm missing some people, but sorry about that. All right, so we are going to continue on with the Kent Hovind question and answer section, where he's not actually taking audience questions, he's just having some written down, which, I've done that too, so I'm not going to complain too much there. But, oh, Trim Tarask, you missed a few, you need to catch up. There's a lot to catch up on, man. So let's see. Before we get going, let's go over our drinking rules for Kent with Bent, and then I have two quick things to say, and then we'll actually dive into the video. So first, we drink whenever Kent gets something right on his own without it just being a direct quotation, which is by far our least frequent reason to drink.
It's rare, but it happens every stream.
Yeah, that's true. Every stream, he gets something right. Give that to him. We also drink when he says something that's just so stupid that we have to drink, basically.
That also happens every stream.
Yes, it does. We also drink when when Godzilla or Mothra show up. So Ben, if you could demonstrate that for us.
Click. All right.
Did it work?
I don't think it's working.
It should have worked. Oh, there it is.
There it is. It worked.
All right, drink for Godzilla. Just took a little bit.
Original kombucha.
Original. That's the first kombucha ever made.
Yeah, tastes like it too.
Gross.
That's a good thing.
And yeah, by the way, we do not encourage that you play along with the Kent with Ben drinking game, because we accept no liability for brain death, alcohol poisoning, liver damage, I don't know,
etc.
Yeah, face palm related injuries, including death from brain damage or just straight up concussion. But if you do want to protect yourself, get the Dapper Dino pillow. It's linked in the description in the merch store.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Anyway.
If I were you, I would get it.
You don't even have one.
I mean, I get the blanket.
Oh, okay.
I don't have one. I have the blanket, the t-shirt, and the mug.
That's a pretty good combo.
It's a great combo.
All right. Yeah. Well, the two quick things that I have to go over is, so if you were there when I was on movie night with Side Strikling and her crew, you may have heard me say that there was going to be an upload this Thursday. Instead, I am scheduling an after show for a debate that is happening on Wednesday, a modern day debate between Dan and Sal. Dan is he's a geneticist who specializes in virology, and Sal is a proponent of genetic entropy. And so they're going to have a follow-up debate to their first debate. So if you tune in at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern, there will be an after show for that. And instead, I'm going to upload what I was planning to upload on Thursday on Saturday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. So you are not missing out on anything. I'm just swapping it around a little bit. So I just wanted to clear that up because I know... Oh, drink for Godzilla. I know that a few people who are normally in my audience heard me say that on, I think that was Saturday? Anyway, yeah, so just so you know, little change there. But anyway, I think that's it. Bent, do you have anything before we get into the whole actual Kent Hovind bit?
Well, there was one more drinking rule.
Well, did we miss one? Oh, yeah, whenever there's a joke that just no one laughs at.
Well, yeah, if Kent Hovind tells a joke, usually what ends up happening is he says something, and then like a half a second goes by, and then we're like, wait, I think that was a joke.
Yup.
Yeah, so if no one laughs at it, and I like the dad jokes that he says. I like them. I happen to like those types of jokes. But some of those jokes are just so bad that you have to drink for it.
Yeah. Well, if we didn't even notice it was a joke, then...
Like if you barely notice, how many jokes did he say that we just didn't notice at all?
Probably a
I have
bunch.
to go back and rewatch.
By the way, Smitty points out, dear Canadians, make maple syrup mead ASAP. Yes, I would try that. I would try a nice dry or semi-sweet maple mead. Yeah. Although, why don't you just ferment straight up the sap? Like, why would you make maple syrup? I guess you would. That would be maple mead. You would just ferment the maple sap. You wouldn't need to turn it into maple syrup first. All right, anyway, here we go.
I don't know, but yeah.
Okay, so Kent Hovind was just discussing radiocarbon dating before we stopped last night. By the way, we only have 20 minutes 40 seconds of this left, which is about as much as we usually get through. But if for some reason we finish early, I'm probably not going to jump on to the next one because we probably won't have much time with it. So this one might be a little shorter than you're used to. Usually we try to get to 2 hours. This one might not quite get there. And if so,
it depends on how much preaching he does at the end.
Well, probably a fair bit. Well, actually, no, because there's another one after this. So this isn't actually the one where he gets the preaching.
Okay.
Yeah, so there might not be any preaching. Okay, yeah. Well, here we go. Let's see what we got.
You would have to already know when it lived to figure how much carbon-14 was it breathing at that time. Doesn't work.
So, Kent is not quite right here, but what he's saying, he's pointing out that the amount of carbon-14 is normally not in equilibrium, and that the amount being generated and the amount in the atmosphere has varied over time. And these are both things that are true. So what you do is actually, this is something I touched on last time, we can correlate carbon-14 with things like photon spin resonance and dendrochronology, as well as just actual calendar records as far back as we have them. And so what you do is you actually get a curve that's calibrated based on differing amounts of carbon-14. Because one of the things is carbon-14 amount actually varies with solar activity. So right now with the sun at a historic solar minimum, we're getting less carbon-14 added to the atmosphere than we otherwise would be. But when the sun starts coming back and being more active, we'll get more. So one of the problems that this does cause, though, is that you can get a carbon-14 reading with 2 dates, because that amount could correlate with 2 different times. And that happens. And usually it's not too big of a deal. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, you're off by like 25,000 years or something. It's going to be like, it could be, 18,000 years, or plus or minus like 50 years, or like 18,000 years. So it's not something that would actually fix the whole young Earth thing, because even carbon-14 proves that the Earth is far older than Kent Hovind thinks it is. But it is true that it is a problem that carbon-14 faces. So
There's a website, www.arky.org. He's got more stuff on the Earth has not reached equilibrium, if you want some articles there.
do you think that's still operating?
There's one way to find out.
Yeah, let's find out.
It's not one of my favorites.
No? Arky.org?
It's taking a while to load. I'm not sure if it's going to load.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 404. Huh. Maybe we could email rccooper@arky.org.
Yeah,
Probably.
we could, or call the number.
Probably should. Oh, by the way, I want to thank you, several people, including Deadly Dakota and Michael. No, I don't remember your last name. I'm sorry, Michael. Actually, I'm not sure you want me giving it out anyway. But several people, including Michael and Thromulus and Ian Chen and Deadly Dakota Raptor, have all grabbed me things for my birthday, either from just giving me gift vouchers or from the Amazon wish list. I want to say thank you very much to all of you guys. But yeah, Arky.com returns this site can't be reached.
.org.
Yeah, So can't find out more there. But it was probably active at the time he gave the speech, so I'll give it to him.
Ron Cooper. But this is a calibration curve. If an animal is still alive, it should give you about 16 clicks on your Geiger counter per minute per gram. If you're only getting 8, you say it's been through 1 half-life, or 4 clicks, or it's been through 2 half-lives, or 3 half-lives, etc. This is called a calibration curve. In theory, it sounds like it should work, but there are several real obvious assumptions, and I don't know how they don't see it.
Oh.
Suppose you walked into a room and I said,
put him up.
I want you to tell me, here's this candle burning on a table. When was it lit? Find out it's 7 inches tall.
So, want to pause a bit?
Yeah.
I did just go to the Wayback Machine, and archy.org actually had some snapshots taken as recently as May 20th of this year.
Wow. That's pretty recent. Well, press F in the chat for archy.org.
It looks as if it hadn't been updated in 10 years. But hey, there's snapshots taken every year since 1998. Yeah, I think that's every year, yeah.
All right.
Just wanted to say that for those of you who are interested.
Oh.
I said, well, that won't tell me anything. Now we got to measure how fast it's burning. We measure the candle for a while, we get an Olympic stopwatch, and we get it down to the nearest 40 bazillionths of a second, okay? And we all agree the candle is burning an inch an hour. Here's our 2 facts. 7 inches tall, burning an inch an hour. When was it lit?
All right. Well, actually, we'll back up slightly just so we can have the candle up. There we go. Okay, so here's our picture of a candle. So here's a few things. One is that candle has a taper. So we can actually establish a maximum initial height if we follow that taper up to a single point, because it can't get any higher than that. Other things, we could measure things like how much wax does it deposit at the base of the candle per hour, and how much wax is present, and is there evidence of wax having been removed? If we know how much wax it produces each hour, and we have an amount of wax, and there's no evidence of wax being removed, or the amount of wax being removed can be reasonably estimated, once again, we can calculate when the candle was started burning. However, the main point of this is that Bent Hovind is artificially trying to create a difficult-to-solve problem by using a candle which, to all appearances, is not depositing much wax. And I don't think he's going to assume a taper. And so he's basically saying, you can't know how long this process has been going. But the thing is, there is, in fact, a way we can know how long a process has been going in terms of radiometric decay, because of many things. For one thing, like I said, we have calibration curves for carbon-14. Oh, one of the other ways we calibrate it is actually ice core dating. So you can actually get literal samples of the atmosphere from ice cores, because ice cores trap air bubbles of ancient atmosphere. Pretty neat. So, and with other things, in many cases, like for instance, what is it? Uranium-lead dating in zircons. Here's something fun. Lead is chemically excluded from zircon crystals, so when they form, they can't have any lead in them. However, once the crystal forms, the lead can't escape, and so any lead in there, ta-da, radiogenic. So yeah, you know, I'm just gonna drink for Bent Hovind being stupid and lying.
But the candle is 7 inches.
Well, it is now. Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say that originally that candle couldn't have been much taller than 14 inches, based on that taper.
Okay.
But which means it's probably been burning about 7 hours. I know it hasn't. I know it hasn't been burning 3 years. I know it's been more.
I just assumed he lit it like 5 minutes earlier.
I mean, maybe.
It's been burning for 5 minutes.
It can't have been burning more than 7, or more than maybe 14. We'll give it a big thing. But it can't have been burning for 3 years. So,
right.
Here we go.
Burning an inch an hour. When was it lit? Mary, can't figure it out? Nobody can figure it out.
It's a big boy
Unless
candle.
you make
TD Lane
some
says.
assumptions. Assumption number 1, how tall was the candle? And assumption number 2, has it always burned at the same rate?
Well,
Those are questions, not assumptions, but okay.
Yeah, those are questions. So we can do things like we can get chemically similar candles, chemically and physically similar candles, and see whether or not they burn at a consistent rate. We can do things like measure how much wax has been deposited, measure the taper to find out the height. These aren't assumptions. We can check on them. And similarly, we can check on the assumptions in radiometric dating, which is why I don't really like to call them assumptions. They're all things that we already know because we checked. So these are conclusions of other bits of science that we then import into another bit of science. But sure, Kent.
Neither of those can be known. If you find a fossil in the dirt, the amount of carbon can be measured, the rate of decay can be determined. I don't argue with either.
Well, I'm going to drink. Okay. Carbon dating works on the organic remains of once living organisms. Fossils are, broadly speaking, the inorganic remains or vestiges of ancient life. Bent, do you know what the problem is there? Do you know what the disconnect is?
Kent's brain.
Well, right, but do you know why maybe I'm drinking for carbon dating a piece of fossil that is the inorganic remnant of an ancient organism? Yeah, because it's inorganic. Carbon dating only works on organic things. You can't carbon date a lump of rock, which is basically what a fossil is. Fossils are basically bone-shaped rocks when they're bones, and if not, they're just rocks that leave impressions of organisms. So you see that...
I'm stupid and I knew that.
Yeah. So this T-Rex, now the one he's showing us is almost certainly a cast made up of several T-Rex specimens, but let's just assume that that's a real skeleton, mostly because I can't really make out what's going on in this other scene. Oh, and we have a couple super chats. So real quick, for $2, we got Josiah Hansen who says, you could run K over with you could run K over with a mower. How long would it take? Oh, Kent. You could run Kent over with a mower. How long would it take? Sorry. Let's see.
About 13.8 billion years.
Well, it's
Start of the universe.
so far it's taking me 150,072 years to do it. So, but I suppose once I started actually with the mower, it would probably take about I don't know, 15 seconds or so to get them run all the way through them, past them, over them.
I recommend against doing this.
I also recommend. I don't plan on doing it. I don't plan on attacking Bent Hovind, at least not physically. I'll attack him. I'll attack his ideas. Yeah, I'll attack his person a little bit. He's a scumbag. But we also have for $2 from Vandalia 1998. Why are you assuming that this is a candle and had kids? Yeah, that candle.
Candle married.
Yeah, and how do you know? And why do you think that candle can do something no candle can do today? Produce candles of a different kind.
What do you mean by kind?
That's a good question. All right, so yeah. In other words, yeah, the very idea that Bent Hovind is saying we're trying to carbon date these fossils is stupid. And here's a rule of thumb. Generally speaking, with one kind of exception I can think of, you cannot radioisotope date any fossil at all. You have to go to stratigraphy charts to find out where in the stratigraphic column you are and what that correlates to. And those charts have been figured out using radiometric dating of igneous deposits, not sedimentary rock. Now, the only exception is you can sometimes directly date volcanic ashfalls that preserve fossils, because volcanic ashfall is this sort of neat cross between an igneous and a sedimentary rock. So it's produced by volcanoes, and because it crystallizes out of molten rock, it can be radiometrically dated because there's a reset period when it's in the volcano. But then because it comes down as fine particles and then lithifies into solid rock after it falls down, it can in fact does preserve fossils. So in those rare instances where we actually get ashfalls preserving fossils, we can directly date those. But as a general rule, no, you cannot date fossils radiometrically directly. You have to do it indirectly. So here we go.
Of those. How much was in it when it lived? I don't know. Has it always decayed at the same rate? I don't know. Has it been contaminated, sitting there in the ground for all these millions of years? There's no way to know those things.
Well, that was stupid again, so I'm going to drink again, just partly because I'm thirsty, partly because it was stupid. Okay. So, let's just pretend that he knows what he's talking about at least a little bit, and he's not talking about carbon-14, and he's talking about other radiometric things. He's not talking about fossils, he's talking about actual rocks, which you can generally radiometrically date. So I'm already granting Kent a whole lot here. But can we tell how much of whatever radioisotope it started with? Well, kind of, but not really. It's a bit hard to tell. But one of the ways we get past this is by using a technique called isochron dating, in which you take a bunch of samples from the same area, so we know that they're the same age, or at least roughly, and then you subject all of them to multiple radiometric isotope methods that all work at about the age that you're thinking about. Then we plot all of them, their ratios of parent isotopes to daughter isotopes, on a chart. If the chart is linear, it means there hasn't been contamination, and that all three of those methods are giving you about the same date within their margin of error. If the if the ratios are skewed, there has been contamination. Also, the kinds of events that result in contamination are the kind of events that actually allow chemicals into and out of rocks, right? Now, Bent, I don't know if you know this, but let's find out. Bent, how good is a solid rock at absorbing water?
Badly good.
Okay. What if it was soap? Is it pretty good at absorbing soap?
No.
So rocks are just generally bad at absorbing things, huh?
Yeah.
So you think lots of chemicals are going to seep into the interior of a rock over time normally?
No.
No, not really. The kinds of events that can actually cause contamination to happen to rocks tend to leave chemical marks on the rock that you can tell, hey, this rock has had some kind of event in its history that would likely reset at least one of the radiometric clocks. Maybe we can't use it for radiometric dating reliably. And Josiah Sanson, I cannot talk today. I've been doing too many live streams lately. I'm going to have to sit back during Thursdays. Josiah Hansen for $2 says, oh my god, are we drinking today? Have a drink. Drink. Yeah, you know what? I'll drink for that.
I'll drink for that.
And yes, we are. This is Kent with Bent Man.
I'm thirsty. I drink when I'm thirsty. And when people super chat.
Well, not anyone. If you tell me to drink in a super chat, I'm not going to refuse you. But also, if Mothra J Disco or Godzilla, who's sometimes around here, Titanus Godzilla 2020, yeah, if either of those guys come around in super chat, I don't care what they say, I'm drinking. Oh, and drink for Godzilla, speaking of which.
Coincidence? No.
No, I could see that you triggered that. You were staring at the camera.
Heck yeah.
All right.
My drink.
Here we go. Let's get a little bit more Kent in.
If the Earth had a canopy of water above the atmosphere, or a canopy of ice, as we cover on Seminar 2, that would have blocked out a lot of radiation from the sun, which would have prevented most of the carbon-14 from even forming. So animals that lived before the flood would...
Okay. You know what? Let's find out. Let's do some checking with, you know, the phone. Let's see.
You're going to search with Bing?
Maybe.
Bing search?
So let's see what... Okay. So carbon-14 is caused when radiation, and I believe... Let's see what we got here. You know which kind of radiation it is? Is it UV? I think it is.
I don't know.
Dating. All right, so let's see. Let's just go with UV. And then we're going to go with water 10th thickness UV. 10th? Oops.
4 inches.
4 inches. Okay.
I remember learning that. I don't know if that's accurate.
Oh. Well, why did you say it then?
I was guessing.
Thickness. UV. All right. Oh, it doesn't really say a whole lot. Darn it. Thanks, Google. Thanks, Google, for not making it easy. We'll figure it out later sometime, maybe. But yeah. Nizar Augustine, canopy. Yeah, Kent seems to think. Oh, drink for Mothra. Bent Hovind thinks that it's somehow physically feasible for a canopy of ice, probably, to exist surrounding the Earth, even though it wouldn't actually be gravitationally bound to the Earth and would just crash down. And it doesn't have enough tensile strength to survive that. And not all of it can be at orbital velocities at the same time, so some of it would actually feel the full weight of the entire canopy. He still seems to think that for some reason, before the fall, this could persist above the Earth in all directions, protecting the Earth from X-rays and UV. Now, I guess it couldn't protect it from all UV, otherwise how would Adam and Eve get vitamin D? But maybe in the perfect world they just made their own vitamin D? I don't know. But yeah, we also have a couple more super chats from Vandalian1998 for $2. Is that where the floodwater came from? The ice melted? So Kent seems to think that some of the ice water came from the canopy, some of it came from subterranean oceans, which is also basically impossible, and that some of it came in the form of a gigantic ice comet that flash froze the world.
Primordial comet.
Yeah. Now,
which, by the way, is basically where all the water in the solar system comes from, or almost all.
That's true, yeah. It goes by sprinkling water all over the place, like, you know, a bunch of it collects on Europa and whatnot. And so, yeah, it's...
And then it came back and put the water on the poles of Earth and Mars, just the poles. And didn't he say it made the rings of Saturn, or maybe that was like a dream?
Probably.
At night. I don't know.
Let's see. Oh, and by the way, Faithful, Honest, and True says, I want to get that because I like to read creationist comments. Not for ridicule purposes, but because I want to prioritize people who disagree with me. At any one moment, there's about 2 to 4 pounds of carbon-14 on Earth at any one time. Carbon-14 is created when the solar radiation hits carbon molecules. Yes. Yeah, but the question that I was wondering is which... So that interaction is only going to happen between a certain range for wavelength of the photon in question. So photons of specific energy are required to convert nitrogen-14 into carbon-14, and I don't know what that energy is off the top of my head, and Google wasn't immediately helpful, so yeah. But
so the 10th thickness of gamma radiation from cobalt-60 in water is about 15 inches.
15? So
into this web zone.
All right. Well, maybe at some point I'll try to figure out, like, so if I do 10 of those to get rid of essentially all of the UV radiation, then it would just make the Earth completely dark, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh well.
Probably.
We'll figure it. We'll probably. I might actually try to figure this out with the math, and I know some people who I can get. Yeah. So also, Josiah Hansen for $2 says the Skull Kid from Majora's Mask says to drink. So we'll drink. He also gives 2 like big toothy grin smiley faces. Okay, so yeah, water canopy, sure, Kent. Let's keep going with that.
Would have lived in a world with much less carbon-14 to begin with, maybe none, but certainly less. And when we dig up the fossil that's been buried for 4,400 years, let's say it started with 4, where today we start with 16. We dig it up 4,400 years after the flood and say, wow, here's a mammoth that got buried, and it's carbon dated. Well, we're assuming it started at...
First of all, mammoth carcasses that you dig up that are frozen are generally not fossils. That's one of the reasons why the Royal Society, during the construction of the first museum exhibit about dinosaurs, dined on frozen mammoth steaks. And before you ask, yes, they were freezer burned.
What?
I know. But that's a thing that happened. They had dinner inside of a still under construction model dinosaur where they were served mammoth steak.
Did they say they were any good?
Apparently, I looked into it a little bit, and generally speaking, no, it was not very well received from a taste standpoint. It was more of a the unusual experience kind of thing.
I would try that. I would taste that.
They were probably the last humans so far to ever, and possibly ever, to taste mammoth. So, There you go. The closest you're going to get now is Indian elephant. But, yeah. But the thing is, and here's the thing that Kent is ignoring, right? We have calibration. He's even pointing it out on this chart, right? This is a carbon-14 calibration curve. Now, it's actually one that is just a naive one that doesn't actually take into account the variations in how much atmospheric carbon-14 there have been. But Kent Hovind is here pretending that that isn't an issue that's already been addressed. So we'll see what else he's got.
16. When we test it and find it's got 2, we're going to say, oh, it's been through 4 half-lives, when it's actually only been through 1 half-life. Which is why it never works. When they first invented carbon dating, 1949, Willard Libby, they did some testing and they said, the lower leg of a mammoth was 15,000 years old, but the skin was 21,000.
Ooh, so this is one that Kent Hovind has actually admitted, now recently, that he was factually incorrect about. And in fact, these were 2 different mammoths. So...
Whoops, Kent.
Yeah.
You done goofed.
Kent's voice, and then if we got for $2, Josiah Hansen says, Kent's voice is like that. We'll freak up the PG-13 hoping. Well, I hope we don't get rid of our PG-13 rule on stream. So far, actually, I think we've been PG. Well, maybe the drinking pushes it to PG-13.
I can change that. This is kombucha.
Yeah, but I haven't been drinking kombucha. I've been drinking ginger ale and whiskey.
Okay, now it's rated PG-13.
So yeah, as TD Lane points out, yeah, dates from 2 different specimens. Yeah, unsurprisingly, 2 different mammoths came back with 2 different dates, because they died at different times. Yeah.
How can 2 parts of the same animal be different ages? Quite obviously, we know one of the numbers is wrong.
Or they're not the same animal, which you've already admitted to, Kent. And
there's smudginess.
Yeah. Thanks for the Office reference.
So how would you know either of them are right? And if either one's right, how would you know which one? I see no way to tell. Well, let's see if it's getting better. 14 years later.
Yeah, if Kent Hovind were right about this, it would be an interesting conundrum.
They tested a living mollusk, a clam, and it was 2,300 years old. Still alive. In 1970, at the Nobel Symposium, they said, if a carbon date supports our theories, we put it in the main text. If it does not entirely contradict them, we put it in a footnote. If it's completely out of date, we just drop it.
I'm just going to go ahead and say that I know too many geologists to actually believe that that is a true statement because, okay, so first I'm going to drink because this is stupid. So here's the thing about radioisotope dating, right? It costs a lot. Each sample is anywhere from several hundred to several $1,000s for each test, right? So you can't simply just do a bunch of tests and hope that you get some that stick to the wall after you throw all that test spaghetti at it. You literally can't because grant money isn't that free, right? Like grant money is hard to get and you only get so much of it. You need to be careful and selective about which tests you do. You need to do ones that are likely to actually get you results at all. And then when you get them, you can't afford to just keep getting new ones until you get the results you like. There's literally not enough money. And the thing is...
The 12th Nobel Symposium, were these guys just making a joke in a speech?
I don't know. See, the thing is, I don't really care to look up the context here, but I'm going to go ahead and guess that it's out of context, because when is it not? But, so... And one of the other things is, radiometric dating results are used to do things like reliably find new oil wells. Like, yeah. And, alright, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, hey, in the chat, we're gonna bring it on to topic. Bringing it on to topic. You wanna have a different discussion about a different topic, have that on another forum.
You mean they can pick and choose any numbers they want?
No.
Exactly correct.
Incorrect.
If the number doesn't fit what they expected, they throw the number out. 1971, freshly killed seal was 1,300 years old when they carbon dated it.
Yeah. There's this thing. It's called the reservoir effect. By the way, I just took a drink. So, carbon-14 works because Plants absorb carbon dioxide directly from the atmosphere, which means they get essentially the same amount of carbon-14 as is in the atmosphere. Primary consumers then consume it at a timescale that is insignificant compared to the actual decay rate of carbon-14. So essentially, they also get their carbon at about the same rate as the plants do. Then you get to, secondary and tertiary and quaternary consumers who are eating things up the food chain. But all of this happens in a timescale that is small enough that it is insignificant compared to the overall time frame of carbon-14. However, things in the water do not generally directly absorb, primary producers in the water do not generally get atmospheric carbon-14. Instead, much of the carbon that they get is actually washed from inland, and it is much, much older. Therefore, things that are secondary or primary consumers or secondary consumers and so on in aquatic ecosystems tend to be consuming already very old carbon. As a result, it usually already has a relative paucity of carbon-14. This is a well-known effect, and it's the reason that marine organisms are generally considered invalid for carbon-14 dating. So yeah, a seal will already have old carbon in it. It's not exactly a big surprise. So yeah, there you go.
Troubles with carbon dating are undeniable.
That quote was indeed taken out of context.
Oh, do you have the full context for us?
No, I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's
well, can you describe it?
Projections. It basically was talking about how their technology had changed, and as it got better, they were getting different results. And then I think it was like a joke still that he was saying. Yeah, the context was definitely not what Kent thought it was.
Well, I doubt that Kent read it. So one of the things about Kent is that he's a bit of a bottom feeder. He goes around and sees what other creationists have said based on sources that they claim to have read, and then he just grabs those quotations and citations and plops them into his material. He's not the one who ever goes and checks on any of these things. He's like 3 tiers below that. So, all right, here's the deal. Work?
Yep.
Okay. We're keeping this on context, or on topic. No more questions about gender politics. We're not doing that today. You get one more timeout on that, and then that's it. You're done. Don't do it again. Or I guess do it again and get another timeout. But then after that, you're gone.
Undeniably deep and serious. Despite 35 years of technological refinement and better understanding, the underlying assumptions have been strongly challenged, and warnings are out that radiocarbon dating may soon find itself in a crisis situation.
All right, let's just assume that's true. Let's just go with it. Carbon-14 completely out. That doesn't negate dendrochronology. It doesn't negate any other kind of radiometric dating. It doesn't negate ice core samples. It doesn't negate photon spin resonance. It doesn't negate isochron dating, which is a combination of various radiometric dating techniques. And it doesn't negate distant starlight. None of it results in a universe or a world that is less than 7,000 years old, or even less than 10,000 years old. All of it continues, and even if we had none of those, just the actual physical geology of the planet led geologists to realize, long before any of these techniques, that the Earth had to at least be tens of millions of years old. It couldn't be thousands of years old. So, yeah, even if we completely toss out carbon-14, it doesn't help Kent's argument.
Continuing use of the method depends on a fix-it-as-we-go approach, allowing for contamination here, fractionation there, and calibration wherever possible. It should be no surprise.
Yeah, that's how you do a measurement. You say, okay, this one's contaminated, and toss it. You know what? I'm just going to drink.
What they should have done is magically had no contamination, fractionation, and had everything perfectly calibrated instantaneously and forever. That's what they should have done.
All right, Smitty, the no gender communications degree was amusing, but I have to hold you to that standard too, man. We're going to get off of that topic now. So, I'll let that one slide, but the next one... it was amusing, I will grant you that. But it was equally off topic. Okay. So, and yeah, this whole allowing for contamination... No, what that means is like, oh, hey, we recognize when there's contamination, and we account for that in our calculations. Drinking rule, anytime you're not drunk enough, take a drink. Ugh.
It's on topic.
That is
That
on
counts as
topic.
being-
That is on topic, because there's a drinking game.
Yeah.
Surprised then that fully half the dates are rejected. Did you follow that? Out of thousands of carbon dates that have been carbon dating times that they've done it, half of the numbers are thrown out. How do they know they're wrong? And also, how would you know the other half is right? If half your test...
First, it's far less than... Okay, hold on. I'm drinking again. My goodness. It is far less than half of all radiometric dates that are discordant. Far, far less. And there are ways you can cross-check. So, for instance, let's say you're going to radioisotope date a skeleton of a dog found in an archaeological site where wood was used. Well, you can take cross-sections of the wood and use dendrochronology to get a good date for the site as a whole. Then, you can cross-reference that with carbon dating of organic remains in the same settlement. And when they tend to agree, well, all's well, that everything works. When they don't agree, then you have to start asking questions. Now, our dendrochronological record actually extends back farther than history in some areas. So even if you find prehistoric organic remains, you may still be able to find other remains of things like trees from around the same time and calibrate it that way. Now, other things you can do is you can take multiple samples from around the same area. So if you have, say, a few dead horses and some dead squirrels or something from a tightly packed area, and they're all about the same depth, and they can all be carbon dated, you can cross-check them. And the one weird outlier, probably not the one you're looking for. So that's how.
Results have to be thrown out. It ought to raise red flags in somebody's brain. Wait a minute. This is stupid. What are we doing? We're wasting our time here. And the article goes on to say, the wonder is, surely, that the remaining half have come to be accepted.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I have friends who tell me that. They say things like, why do you give this guy the time of day? This is stupid. Stop doing it.
Like,
it's like, hey.
Kent with Bent?
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, the reason I do this is because I grew up watching this guy, believing him.
Exactly. Also,
and
it's fun.
It's fun, but like, it's not that, oh, I'm giving him the time of day to consider what he's saying. It's more like, hey, I grew up watching him, believing what he said, and then I learned.
Yeah.
Things. And that's pretty stinking recent that I learned things. Like, the time between the first episode of Kent with Bent and now is greater than the time of when I started learning these things. Or maybe not started, but...
And the first Kent with Bent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first Kent with Bent. So, yeah, it's definitely...
You're well into your adult life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well into my 30s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, there are other people out there like me. Some people have visited this channel, too, who I feel like are in a similar position that I was.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names, but I know some people have named their own names and stuff like that. And yeah, so I don't know. Kent just saying what he said reminded me of that. So I need
Fair
to
enough.
say that.
And also, we have a $5 super chat, thank you very much, from Vandalia1998, who says, well, because certain dating methods should be in certain ranges, and if the range is way off, there might be something wrong with that sample. Yeah, that is true. If there are good reasons outside of the dating method to expect certain ranges to be reasonable, and when you get an extremely unusual date, that's odd. So, for instance, if you find like a freshly dead deer or something, and it comes back with a date of like 50,000 years, something weird's going on. And in fact, actually, things like that can be used to detect things like excessive amounts of pollution, because pollution much of the carbon dioxide pollution comes from fossil fuels, which, as you know, is extremely old carbon. And so actually areas on Earth that see heavy use of fossil fuels actually have another reservoir effect. It's one of the reasons why roadside organic, or not fossils, but remains, actually give erroneously old carbon-14 dates, because there's a reservoir effect because of all of the fossil fuel carbon being pumped out near roads. So again, there might be a reason for this erroneous date, and you can tell because we have a plethora of very reliable dates on which to go and base our ideas as to what's reasonable for this particular find.
But we should have magically calibrated for that ahead of time.
We did.
Perfectly.
Well, not perfectly, but we did calibrate. Funny that.
And calibration, which would adjust as, traffic patterns changed on its own. That's how we should have calibrated. Otherwise, how can you trust any of it? Right, Kent?
Yeah. All right, here we go.
No matter how useful it is, the radiocarbon method is still not capable of yielding accurate and reliable results. There are gross discrepancies, the chronology is uneven and relative, and the accepted dates are actually selected dates.
I like how this is from 1981. And it's like, it's the same thing with creationists. Like, they'll cite things that are alleged problems going all the way back to like the 1870s. It's like, hey, you think science might have moved on in like the 40 years? Oh, and we got 199 super chat from Mothra J Disco, which of course means we take a drink.
Drink.
Really, all it takes to get us a drink for your super chats, where you don't tell us to drink, is to change your name to something to do with Toho Kaiju, and you're good. But anyway, Mothra J Disco says, I disagree, so I'm suing for $500 million. Yeah, let's get into that for a second. Bent Hovind is currently involved in 2 rather interesting lawsuits, and I'm not going to make whole videos about them on this channel. I may end up being on a panel at some later date about them, but I'm not sure, mostly because, like, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know how much useful I had to put in. But Bent Hovind is suing his son Eric Hovind for return of all of the previous creation science evangelism assets that are still in Eric Hovind's possession, that he apparently sold to his own, either Creation Today or some other ministry that was intermediate between those, for the sum of like $6,000. So it includes the contents of several buildings on Kent's former near Kent's former compound, house, park, whatever you want to call it. Books, some of the back stock that Eric Hovind is still selling on his website, all sorts of stuff there. I'm not sure to what degree that has a chance of winning, but I wouldn't actually say it's impossible. I've heard some things from people who aren't Bent Hovind about Eric and his current behavior that make me think that there might actually be something to that lawsuit. That it's not impossible he'll get anything back there. So, yeah, there's that. However, he is also suing the federal government for just over $500 million in regard to his tax fraud case. And I do not think he's going to win a penny, mostly because pretty much all of his arguments come down to sovereign citizen arguments. And I know Kent doesn't like to call himself a sovereign citizen because he's like, well, you can't be both a citizen and a sovereign, the state is the sovereign. Yeah, okay, Kent, I know, sure.
He acts like he doesn't know what it means.
Right. Basically because he doesn't want to be associated with the way people think of sovereign citizens.
People call him a snake oil salesman.
Right. His response is to say,
never sold snake oil.
yeah,
Why?
do we have any snake oil for sale? It's like, no, it doesn't mean you literally sell snake oil, and you know that, Kent. It's the same thing. So he's basing this on all of these, like, sovereign citizen arguments and all these, like, sovereign citizen buzzwords and whatnot. And so I'm expecting the case to be thrown out almost immediately. But
I'm
again,
expecting it to be hilarious.
well, I hope so. I would like to find out where he's filed it so I can actually keep track of the case, because it should be public record. But we also have another super chat for 1.99 from Mothra J Disco, so we'll drink for that. And Mothra J Disco says, Eric's lawsuit is in sovereign citizen court, aka not legal. Yeah, I also believe that that is the case. That I don't know if it's the same as this lawsuit. This might actually be a different lawsuit. because I know that at least a while back, Kent Hovind filed a lawsuit against Eric in a sovereign citizen court. Now, here's the thing. Sovereign citizen courts can actually hear lawsuits and be binding because they are arbitration courts. The thing is that you have to have an arbitration agreement in order for the case to be enforceable. So if I wanted to sue Bent Hovind for some silly reason, I don't know why I would, but let's say I did.
Okay.
If I said, hey, I have this dispute with you, I could file it with the actual court system, but that would take forever. Would you agree to go to the sovereign citizen court, which will be done in a month? He can say yes. We can both sign something, and then we can take it to the sovereign citizen court, and they can make a judgment. And now, if he reneges on the judgment, or if either of us do, if it goes whichever way, the winner can take that agreement and the judgment and take it to an actual court, and that court can enforce it under contract law. Also, for $2 from Vanelli 1998, we have, how can someone sue someone if you legally sold it? So that's part of the question. Some of the things that I have actually heard from people who aren't Eric or Kent actually make me think that perhaps Eric was not legally in a position to sell the assets of creation science evangelism. If that's the case, then Kent might have a case. And I'm not sure if this current lawsuit, because he recently put up a couple videos about Eric, saying, I think it was called Eric Hovind Must Be Stopped, episodes 1 and 2. Was that? Well, I know we talked about him a little bit before we went on air.
It was, I don't remember how we titled him.
Okay, it was something like that. And this was, so his second one was about his lawsuit against Eric. But this came months after he also said that he was suing Eric Hovind, and the news broke about him suing him in the Sovereign Citizen Court. So I'm not sure if this is a second lawsuit. And that's one of the reasons I really don't want to make a whole video about it, because I'm not really sure of the details, because Kent is being vague about the details. And as far as I know, Eric is just not addressing it, at least not publicly. So, there you go. That is the longest diversion I've ever taken for a $2 super chat. But it's still much appreciated. I really do appreciate the chats. So here we go. Let's get a little bit more Kent in.
This whole blessed thing is nothing but 13th century alchemy. And I agree. That's 1981. I've got all these in chronological order. It
is 1981, Kent. It is. Why did you bother with it? I don't know.
It gets better. 1984, living snails carbon dated 27,000 years old.
Shells from living snails.
Okay, let's back up a little bit and see what that actually says. Science, volume... Okay, so you're not even going to tell us the name of the article. So,
Science.
Here's the thing, right? I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, were they sea snails, Kent? Because then there's a reservoir effect. Also, snails can also be found by the roadside, where they also have a reservoir effect. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it was one of those. And since I don't want to look up the 1984 volume of Science, and you haven't told me the article name, or given me the quote, yeah, I'm just going to go with that.
It's carbon dated 27,000 years old. 1992, two mammoths found side by side. They carbon date them. One is 22,000, the other is 16,000.
Didn't you already do this one, Kent? Or was two?
Maybe it's another one.
Is he going to give us a citation for it?
Which one's right? Or are both of them wrong? Or are both of them right? There is no possible way to tell. In 1996, Carl Swisher at Berkeley University used the most advanced techniques to date human fossils. It says last spring he was reevaluating Homo erectus skulls found in Java in the 1930s. He was testing the sediment found with them. The species was supposed to be extinct for 250,000 years. Swisher used two different dating methods. He kept making the same startling find. The bones were 53,000 years at most, and possibly no more than 27,000. I'd like to point out two things here.
Okay, so
that sounded like a drink.
Yeah, no, it's a drink. It's going to be a drink, and then after I explain this, I'm probably going to go get a new drink.
Okay.
Okay. So, Cheshire Vic, hello. Hey, if you want to call, I'll call you. We'll do it. I'll call you. I don't even care.
You would.
I would. Anyway, so at most 53,000 years, and possibly as young as 27,000 years. You know what we call that?
That's called, hold on, range.
No,
range.
It's close. You're close.
Range.
It is. It's a range.
I did it!
He's not saying that they're both 53 and 27,000 years old. He's saying that they are between these ages. And it's startling because modern humans may have been in this area at the same time as Homo erectus, which in 1996 was still a little bit surprising because we weren't sure to what degree things went extinct, or Homo erectus went extinct locally before or during or after Homo sapiens got there. So it was a little up in the air there. But I am going to mute myself and mute Bent. Sorry, Bent. We're going to go to a quick intermission, and I am going to get myself a drink because we're at about the halfway point, and that's when I like to get myself a fresh drink.
Permission, I'm going to do the same.
Okay. I want to take a moment to talk about something serious. There is a problem facing late surviving non-avian dinosaurs in modern America. Hunting is very strictly regulated and only allowed at certain times of the year. This means that for much of the year we have to rely on farm-raised food, which means money. If you want to help a starving dinosaur, please consider donating on Patreon or buying from my merch store. Links are in the description. Please help. Dinosaurs all over YouTube are depending on you to help them through the hunting off-season. Oh, Nani? Dare? Oh, Ujira desu ka? Hai, Gojira-san. All right, and we are back. What is up, everybody? I hope you had fun with that. I hope you put in your earplugs for Godzilla.
That's so loud.
Hey, just like Godzilla. Oh, and we have a $5 super sticker from Ilya Moon, who sends a highest super sticker. Hi, Ilya.
Yeah.
It's great to have you here. How you doing tonight? Or today? I don't. Yeah, it's night most places that people are watching me.
Right now.
Yeah, right now. Actually, I happen to know what time zone Ilya is in. Pretty sure night works.
Okay.
I mean, it works for pretty much every place that isn't like Australia or New Zealand or something. Which actually, I checked on New Zealand. I was like, what time is it in Auckland? It's like 5 hours earlier than me, but the next day.
Whoa.
Yeah, so right now in
Wow.
Auckland, it's like 2 p.m. Wednesday.
Yikes! I'm late for work.
That one blew me away a little bit. I was like, oh, that is crazy. They really are in the future over there. All right. Oh, it's only 7 p.m. where you are, Monk Mayfair? Hardly night? Well, evening. I don't know. German
It's the
Furman,
same
it's
exact
noon.
time for me.
All right, fine, guys. There's lots of times that it could be. I get it. What is
So
this?
this-
Ginger beer?
Is one ice cube inside of some chamomile tea that I
Oh.
made a couple weeks ago. Made a bunch of it and then refrigerated it.
I hope it's still
See
good.
what it's like. Oh, it's good.
Okay.
Get a little buzz from it.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Okay. Hey, you know what though? I have put vodka in iced chamomile tea before. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty good. So, all right, here we go. We'll actually start going now that we're done talking about drinking.
He's looking for $250,000 as his answer. But he keeps getting 53 to 27,000, okay? Which is only 1/4 of what he wants. 1/5 of what he wants, okay?
Oh no.
But he's still getting a 96% error. I mean, is it 27,000 or 53,000? This is not an exact science.
I'm gonna drink because that was stupid.
Yeah, that was.
A range isn't an error, Kent. You
Yep.
idiot.
Also, if you notice, he was trying to figure out when the sediments were deposited. It's entirely possible that the stratigraphy is simply imprecise in that area for that time. Not every stratigraphic column can be precisely calibrated because sometimes we just have insufficient igneous rocks to actually bracket very well when various things were deposited. That's not exactly some kind of big problem, and you'll notice that the minimum age still doesn't put it anywhere near 7,000 years or 6,000 years or whatever we're going to go with today. Kent.
So when they publish an article in the paper and say, we found a dinosaur bone or a mammoth bone, and it was, 17,221 years old in 6 months and 3 days. Like, right, come on.
Yeah, no one's ever said that, Kent.
Yeah, no one. You know what? I'm just going to drink because I think that was supposed to be a joke and it wasn't funny. It was just annoying.
Kent laughed, though, so that means someone laughed.
Kent doesn't count. He's not someone. He's not a person. Well, he's a person.
He tries to be a person.
No, he is. Like, I think he should be given the full rights and benefits of personhood.
It's true. Kent Hovind deserves personhood
Yeah,
because he's a person.
much as I dislike it.
I don't even dislike it. He's just someone I disagree with because I think he's wrong. Doesn't mean he's not a person.
I also hate him, though.
No.
Think back to your reaction to the drowning
I don't
video.
hate him because the Bible says to love your enemies.
Does it say not to hate them? Can't I do both?
I don't think so. I think love and hate are opposites.
Maybe. Can I feel very badly about him, but then also still do nice things if if it comes up for him? Like if he's stuck on the side of the road, like fix his tire or whatever?
You described the phone calls you've had with him, and I watched your debate with him. You were very polite to him.
That's true, I was. All right. I have mixed feelings about Kent Hovind, but most of them are bad.
Yeah, but you're still polite to him. You still treat him like a person.
That's true, I do treat him like a person.
You should.
Okay, fair enough.
Don't know that. They're making up this stuff. Just absolutely making it up. Professor Rainer Prach von Zeiten, earlier the February 9th of 2005, was resigned.
I just gotta say that name sounds slightly dirty.
Okay.
Just say, I think somehow that should be like a euphemism for something. I don't know what, but
Okay.
Maybe that's the alcohol.
It's the alcohol.
From a professor because he'd been lying about carbon dating for years. His frauds were exposed in February of 2005. He had dated the Bishkoff spire skeleton at 21,300 years old, but when they tested him at Oxford, they said it's only 3,300 years old.
Some dude lied. Okay.
700% error.
No, that's not... I have to drink.
That's the alcohol.
You read right there, Kent, that it said that he was found to have lied. Lying and an error bar aren't the same thing. Oh, Godzilla. You cannot conflate deliberate deception that was outed by the scientific community with an error bar. They're not the same.
Kent sure makes a lot of errors.
Oh, man. Okay, here we go.
He had said, Professor Protsch had said he had found the oldest German, the first German to ever move to Germany, 27,400 years old. They tested it at Oxford and said, this is an old man that died in 1750. He's 250 years old. The professor had been lying about this stuff for decades, and so he finally resigned in disgrace. Well, he should. Okay?
Yeah, fair.
What?
No, you know what? I'm going to drink for Kent getting one right. Kent get one right, yeah. For the first time this stream so far.
I told you it happens every stream.
Yeah, Kent, you're right. When someone lies, they should resign in disgrace. But that isn't the same thing as the technique not working. Oh, did someone just say moist in chat? Now I feel harassed. Gross.
One part of a mammoth dated 29,000 years old. Another part was 44,000.
Wait, did we go back?
You talk about a slow birth. That would...
Wait,
that was another joke.
That's the same one. That was a joke?
Yeah. Talk about a late birth or whatever he said.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness, I missed that entirely.
Yeah.
But why are we back to this mammoth thing? It's even the same slide. Does he have the same slide in his presentation twice?
It probably does. Because it's back to 1975. He said he was going in chronological order, but...
And no, Monk Mayfair, I don't like being moist. I'm a man of extremes, or a dinosaur of extremes. I don't know. Either completely soaking wet or bone dry. I don't know. None of this in between. There's your answer. Unless we're talking about cake, which I just don't like anyway.
Be it, okay. I like this article from Rand McNally. The last 2 years, an absolute date was obtained for the Gandong beds above the Trinil beds. That's in Indonesia. It has the interesting value of 300,000 years, plus or minus 300,000 years. Boy, they nailed that one right on the head, didn't they? Plus or minus, 300% error. In the Geological Survey Professional Paper 862, and I get some flack over this, but I've got the paper in the library somewhere. We couldn't find it here. There's all kinds of articles about carbon dating things in Alaska. I just want to show you a few things here. They carbon dated sample number SI-454. See that on the map there, on the chart there? And said it was 17,210
That's a good point. It is just lines on paper.
years, plus or minus 500. Then they tested sample SI-455 and said it's 24,140 years old. Well, 17,000, 24,000, say, wow, that's working good, until you find out that's the same sample as 454.
Same animal as S1554. Okay, so yeah, you probably had a contaminated sample. Okay,
very same sample.
The same exact
Test it again.
animal? Or
that's what it says.
Okay, same animal.
Yeah.
So is it 17,000 or 24,000? Sample number...
well, it's not 4,000, Kent.
299 was less than 20,000 years old. That little caret means less than. Sample number L137X is greater than 28,000. We say, well, see, it's working good. This sample's less than 20,000. This other sample's greater than 28 until you find out it's the same sample as 299. How can a sample be less than 20 and greater than 28 at the same time?
So I want to point out, remember when I said that we have to carefully calibrate carbon-14 dating because we do in fact know that the amount of carbon-14 in the atmosphere varies over time?
Right.
And remember how I said that sometimes what that means is certain samples can give two different ages which are both possible?
Right.
Think he's going to tell anyone about that?
No.
Okay.
What do you...
I know.
I taught algebra for a long time. I don't think you can do such a thing. That's not.
Oh, and first of all, drink from Author J Disco super chat. Mothra J Disco, you hate my liver, and it's okay. But Mothra J Disco says Bill Ludlow destroyed this point, and it was beautiful, and I agree. Yeah, if you guys have not seen the Bill Ludlow Bent Hovind debate, go watch it. It is frankly amazing. It is one of the best Bent Hovind debates ever. In fact, the best compliment I ever got was when someone favorably compared my debate to Bill Ludlow's debate.
That's a pretty good compliment.
Yeah, exactly. It was one. It might be the best compliment I've ever received. Was when someone said, "This is like the best." He said something like, "This is the best debate I've seen since the Bill Ludlow Bent Hovind debate," and I was like, "Well, I don't know about that, but thank you. That's extremely flattering." So, yeah, go watch that if you haven't. I mean, don't stop watching this. Go watch it after, because you know. But yeah. Also, Bill Ludlow, he did a few other things about Bent Hovind. He did one with paleontologist who I actually had on the show for my after show with the Bent Hovind debate, and they talked about how Bent Hovind was going on about Disney World pretending that Donald Duck evolved from a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and that's where he revealed that Bent Hovind thought there were only 4 or 5 kinds of bipedal dinosaur, and it's like, oh wow, oh no, Kent, no. Bipedal is the default for dinosaurs. Stop. No. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So Bill Ludlow, rest in peace, had some wonderful content about Bent Hovind, and I would recommend that anyone go look at all of it because it was amazing. He was great on that. So, and he was great on a lot of things, and we miss him. So,
Too good. Living penguins were dated at 8,000 years old.
Hey, Bent, we've gone over it a few times. This is the quiz portion. I'm going to drink real quick while you think about why living penguins might have erroneously high dates.
Because they're dinosaurs.
No. We went over it. No, we went over it. Bent, don't you remember?
Why don't you explain for the audience?
The marine reservoir effect, where the oceans tend to get old carbon washed in from the land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't penguins.
No, now you could say, oh, but penguins spend a lot of their time on land. True, but where do they get their food?
Is it true though?
It is. They spend about half the year on land.
Well, where's the other half? In the water?
In the water, but where do they get all of their food? 100% of their food comes from where?
Water.
Yep, the water. What water?
The water.
The ocean water. So yes, we would not expect carbon dating to work on penguins. We might not actually get through this.
We got plenty of time.
We might have to get the very tail end of this next time.
I think we'll get through it.
Okay.
Materials from layers where dinosaur bones were found are carbon dated 34,000 years old.
Oh, this one again.
Oh, I love this. So, do you know the biggest reason I love this?
Because Ken's stupid. I mean, no. What's the biggest reason you love it? What's the biggest reason?
The biggest reason I love this is because that's not dinosaur bones.
It's whale.
Yep.
I remember that from the last time we saw it.
Those are whale bones. They're not even... You know what?
It still looks like a drawing to me for whatever reason.
I think it's because it's been treated to like up the. I think the levels have been adjusted to increase contrast, which is not the way I would have done it, but eh. But I'm gonna drink for Kent putting up whale bones as dinosaur bones. So there you go. Yeah, those are whale bones, everybody. Now, I know not everyone is exactly well equipped to determine the difference, but for reasons that we've gone into before on Kent with Bent, so I don't really want to get into again. Yeah, those are whales. That's a whale. That's not a dinosaur.
Oh, just, you can ask him if they found a skeleton, how would they tell if it's a dinosaur? They might not have an answer. There's some kind of stupid you just can't fix.
Oh man! In case you should get how would you tell if it's a dinosaur? There's some kinds of stupid that you just can't fix. That is a bit more obscure. That is how Kent described me when he talked about our debate before it actually happened on his channel. Yeah. Yep. Because apparently
he said it a couple of times.
He might have said it a couple times, but he definitely described me that way before our debate. Yeah. The debate, which as far as I know, is still not on his list of debates, on his playlist of debates. So
any honest court of law would have him list that debate.
Now, allegedly, he is going to be debating Eric Vierthaler 92 on whether or not birds are dinosaurs coming up here soon. So check out Eric Vierthaler's channel for news on that. Bent, if you could grab that and toss it in the chat, or if anyone else could. Actually, Eric, if you're here, put your channel link in the chat. But I'm very interested to see how that would go. I have had some discussions with Eric about things he might want to bring up, and my experiences with the debate. So I am looking forward to that happening. I don't know if it's going to happen. But the other reason this whole thing is stupid is because you don't radiocarbon date rock layers. You can't. Oh, we have a $4.99 super chat from Speak of the Devil, Eric Vierthaler 92. Me, you, and Bent should do a commentary on Jaws: The Revenge. Oh, oof. Oh, that's a bad movie. Some time to make fun of it. You two down? Maybe on one of my YouTube channels? I would be open to the possibility, but my goodness, am I not looking forward to watching Jaws: The Revenge again?
Only if we can also upload that to the Seabad show.
We could do a joint thing, yeah.
I would do that.
Oof, man, it's such a bad movie, though.
Spoilers. I've never seen it.
Have you not?
No.
Okay, this is the movie where Mrs. Brody is a shark psychic.
Spoilers? That sounds amazing.
No, it doesn't.
It sounds pretty amazing.
It's amazing in the same vein as I did not hit her. I did not. It's bull. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. It's amazing in that way. Yeah, the seabed.
It's gonna happen.
All right.
It's gonna happen.
So yeah, I think it's a possibility. We'll have to look into where we can find that movie and everything, but I think it's certainly a possibility. I think Bent would be interested to watch that movie, even though it is terrible.
You gotta watch me watch it for the first time and just stare at my face, and I'll be like, I don't know what face I'll make because I haven't seen it before.
Top 3 coolest dinos: T-Rex, Velociraptor, 1, Meleagris Galapavo. Obviously. Meleagris Galapavo is the best dinosaur.
It's pretty good. It's no Gallus domesticus, but it's pretty good.
All right, fair enough. I know that we agree to disagree on this one, but at least...
You know what? It's not like you're, like, so far wrong.
Right. I mean, we're both in the Galliformes.
Well, it's like a top 5 for me.
Okay.
At least it's not number 2.
What's number 2?
You know, it might be.
Okay, fair enough.
Meleagris, forget it is
Galapavo?
might be number 2.
Okay, that's very fair. All right, but also, yeah, so as we went over, you don't carbon date... Oh! Drink for Godzilla, Mesozoic strata.
I was in a debate one time, and this professor was getting so upset. Finally, he said, how can you use Reader's Digest as a resource?
That's a good question.
Like as a reference, you mean?
Yeah, like why would you reference Reader's Digest? It's a really good question. I wouldn't.
It's going to be smug, I'll tell you that.
Oh, you know what? TD Lane and Cheshire Vic point out that secretary birds are awesome, They are. You don't know what a secretary bird is? Go find out. Also, you might recognize a secretary bird if you're a fan of the Netflix original show produced in cooperation with Sanrio, Agretzko. If you like that show, you might recognize the secretary bird.
I said, sir, I use Reader's Digest as a resource for the picture of the dinosaur bone, okay? It's not the resource.
Oh, for the picture of the whale bone? I'm drinking. My goodness, Kent. Also, I noticed you didn't give a citation. What's that? Sorry.
But also, that's kind of a smug look. But yeah, it's also still pretty stupid. Like there are.
Wait, was that a joke?
There are better places you can get pictures from, Kent.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did link the Eric Vierthaler 92.
Oh, good.
Channel.
Oh, and Leda Lumo says, I need to rewatch the three of you watching Manos, The Hands of Fate. Like the three of you actually made it good. Yeah, actually, if you guys want, link our, I think it was actually the four of us. So I think it was you and me and Duke and Cheshire all watching Manos, The Hands of Fate. And it's a great video. Because one of the nice things about Manos, The Hands of Fate is because it's public domain, we just had the actual movie up with our commentary track over it. And as I think Bent and Cheshire can attest, that was a lot of fun. Even though Manos, Hands of Fate, Drink for God's Love, is terrible.
I had 64 views.
Well, it deserves more, so somebody link it.
I will
do
that.
While you're doing that, I'm going to get a little bit more Kent Hovind.
For the fact, okay? That's where I got the picture from. Oh, okay.
Well, then why didn't you cite the place that you actually got the fact from, Kent?
So we went on to the debate.
Kent Hovind is wearing a good tie. I probably mentioned it last time, but I like this tie. Sometimes Kent Hovind wears great ties, and I am jealous. It's the only thing, well, yeah, it's basically the only thing I'm jealous of, but yeah, it's a nice tie.
Yes, dinosaurs ought to date, 70 million years old. A Russian scientist dated dinosaur bones at less than 30,000 years old. Hugh Miller from Columbus, Ohio, took in 4 dinosaur bone samples and said, would you carbon date these? And they charge like $600 to carbon date something.
Oh, you mean that radioisotope dating is expensive, Kent, and that maybe scientists can't afford to just do it willy-nilly? Yeah, crazy that. Also, I think that's roughly accurate, so I'm going to take a drink for him getting something right.
They carbon dated them and said they're less than 20,000 years old.
Yeah.
He said, oh, by the way, these are dinosaur bones. They said, oh, well, then they're not 20,000. We got to test them again.
Yeah. Because if you get a radiocarbon date on dinosaur bones, the only reasonable assessment is that it's contamination, because dinosaur bones aren't the original organic material. Oh my goodness, what? It's almost like it would be contamination. And the fact that you got anything and then you said they were dinosaur bones means ipso facto that it's contamination. And guess what? Most labs you send samples off to aren't going to do their own check for contamination. 1, because in many cases they can't, and 2, because it's your responsibility as a collector to actually take careful care of your samples to not let them get contaminated. That's on you.
Why can't they be 20,000? They said, well, we know dinosaurs lived 70 million years ago, so if you had told us that, we never would have carbon dated them.
Yeah, they would have saved you the money.
One friend of mine died here several years ago, but he was doing a lot of archaeological work, and he dug down in this well and he found layers of burned wood, which is good to carbon date because obviously, it had carbon in it. And he put them in a bag, sample number A, from such and such a layer. How many feet down, he labeled it A. Dug down 10 more feet, hit another layer of burn.
What's that? Sorry.
Oh, I said, is Kent having a stroke right now? You stammered a bit.
I almost hope so.
I don't, but...
I used to say that I would be sad when Kent Hovind died. I'm no longer sure about that.
We'll run out of material.
We have years worth of material left to go, trust me. Kent Hovind did this for decades.
Yeah.
Just straight decades. And even when if we run out of video material, he has books. And you know what I can do? I can read sections of books and we can comment on them.
Okay. All right.
I expect that we will die before we run out of material. Or at the very least that I will eventually run out of steam to keep doing YouTube because I'll just be too old or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Although I'm already pretty old, so you never know.
But who knows how long you're going to live? If you've lived 150 million years already,
That's a good
you
point.
might have another 150 million to go. I'll be dead long before you.
I might only have 10 more years. We don't know.
We don't know.
Okay.
Burned wood. A city had been destroyed, or 20 feet, whatever it was. He labeled it sample B. He took them in to have them carbon dated. Paid them the $600. They said sample A is, I forget, 3,000 years old, and this one's 4,000 years old.
You didn't make a slide for it, Kent? You just forgot? Okay, sure.
He waited 6 months, switched the labels, took them back in, same laboratory, said, I want you to carbon date these samples. Now, sample B, the lower one, is in the top bag. Just switch the labels, and they give them the same results, 3,000 and 4,000. It doesn't work.
I would really like a citation for this.
I mean, if you brought them in the same bag and they're already labeled, they may have just like looked up what they had done 6 months earlier. And said, yeah, we already did these 6 months ago. These were the numbers we got.
As a former super lazy Navy technician, I can't say I wouldn't have done that.
That's probably what they did, and they probably didn't even charge them.
Are you?
The amount.
Oh, they probably charged them. Are you kidding me? I would have charged them.
600?
Yeah, I would have charged them.
I don't think they would have. They might have.
I would have. I would have blazed the crap out of that. You never blazed logs when you were in the Navy.
I did not, because it gave me something to do when I was bored.
Well, fair enough, but I blazed a fair few logs,
I
especially...
did actually a little bit, but not very much, actually.
Remember when they added those weird, like, pressure gauges that I didn't know where they were? I blazed all of those.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, take these logs. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
It's never worked. Here's things to consider about carbon dating. When the sample of, date a sample of known age, it doesn't work. If you date a sample of unknown age, it is assumed to work. That's not science, okay?
No, that's not what happens.
As things decay, they produce helium.
As things decay? Just anything? So just random elements? Yeah,
random
no.
elements decay producing helium.
I'm gonna drink.
I mean, sometimes.
Yeah, some things undergo alpha decay, which releases an alpha particle, which is a helium nucleus. But that's not all of them. What about elements that decay and do like beta minus or beta plus decay?
Or
fission.
Gamma decay.
Well, that doesn't usually actually do much to change the actual isotope.
True.
Because gamma emission...
Other methods of decay.
Yeah, gamma emission is usually an electron falling to a lower orbital. So... Science. It's almost like we went to this thing called Nuke School where we learned about nuclear processes. Sorry. I'll stop.
I'll be fine.
Helium, the amount of helium in the atmosphere is only enough to account for a few thousand or few million years, not billions of years.
What?
There's a book called The Mythology of Modern Dating.
Based on what?
So the Earth is a couple million years old at least.
Got it. Yeah, sure.
Conclusion follows premise. Bent drinks
Yeah, I'll drink for that too.
before his brain falls out. In fact, that's worth the pills. It's pills time. Pills.
It doesn't work as well if you say pills. The first time you did that, people were concerned.
I know.
Methods by ICR, if you want to read stuff on that. They do a lot of testing on this. They're probably the experts in the creation community. This guy said the rocks do date the fossils, but the fossils date the rocks more accurately. That's ludicrous, okay? And it all based on circular reasoning. They've known that for centuries. We'll cover more on that on video 4. I talked to James P. Dawson.
This is like video 7. He's still hawking his videos.
Yeah, he always does. Always.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
He's going to be on our radio program tonight, actually, Jonathan. He's supposed to call in. James Dawson was one of the guys working on dating the moon rocks. They brought back moon rocks, gave them to his laboratory, and said, how old is the moon rock? He took specimen number 10017, divided it into 6 pieces, and tested it many, many times. How old is it? They got numbers ranging from 2.5 billion to 4.6 billion. It's a 500% error. Or 100% error.
But which one is it? First of all, Wait, get your numbers right, Kent. And second, errors aren't given in percent. They're given in the plus or minus of the absolute numbers involved. And is it really any surprise that when the moon rocks were first returned, there was a bigger error than there is now for radiometric dating?
What?
Shocker! Things that happened decades ago are less precise than things that happen now in terms of science. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna take a drink.
So therefore, they're 6,000 years old. Got it.
Right, exactly.
Talked to him back in '99, and he's in Oklahoma. There's his phone number. He was Chief of Engineering and Operations for the Lunar and Earth Science Division of the Manned Spacecraft Center in NASA in Houston.
Ooh, someone just asked about a Dapper Dino body pillow. I don't know how to get that done, but I'm not opposed to the idea. But it would have to be life-size, and that would be a pretty darn big pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, if you want to sleep with a Dapper Dino body pillow, I'm not going to stop you.
He worked on lunar samples, including the Genesis rock. He told me they found ages from 10,000 years to several billion in the same rock. His website, jpdawson.com. How can one rock be 10,000 years old and several billion years old at the same time?
References, I talked with him.
Yeah,
that's his reference.
That's his reference. This one time, a guy said to me, hey, you know what? One time, a guy said to me that the Earth was 18 trillion years old and that humans evolved from clams and that Bent Hovind is actually Satan in disguise. Must be true.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just like that question I asked Kent. How do you tell what a dinosaur is? Interesting question.
Wrong, okay. The book Bones of Contention has a great chapter at the end called The Dating Game, showing how that they will just change the dates whenever necessary. If it doesn't fit the theory, let's test it again.
That actually might be a book that I want to dig into with some friends of mine, including maybe Erica Gutsick Gibbon and Colton Corporal Anon. So I'm not saying I'm not saying it's coming, but I'm also not saying that it's not a thing that might happen. Because we are all three of us familiar with this book. And they are actually more familiar with it than I am. So that might be a thing that occurs.
Until it fits the theory. See, the theory is important. The facts are not. Evolution, as I've said many times, is a carefully protected state religion. That's all it is.
Oh, and Fernando asks, Dapper Dino anime when? Hey, I mean, draw it. Go ahead and draw it.
What about potassium?
Oh, I can provide Dapper Dino character references. There you go.
Potassium-argon dating. Does that work? Actually, the numbers are bigger, but the problems and assumptions are exactly the same, and you can demonstrate it doesn't work. Potassium decays very slowly. This chart shows the different elements in their half-life. Carbon has a half-life around 5,700 years, but potassium, it takes 1.3 billion years with a B for half of that to disappear. Very slowly decays. By the way, I would like to point out, Your Honor, just for appeal, that all of the dating methods are based on the decay of an element. Mm-hmm. Uranium decays to lead. Potassium decays to argon. They're all moving down the periodic table, not up.
Yeah.
All going down.
Yeah.
Just point out, keep that in mind in case we need to appeal this case, all right?
Well, what does that have to do with anything, Ken?
I don't know, but it was technically true, so I'm going to drink for it. Good job, Kent.
Something true that means nothing, but he is acting like it means something. Great.
But he's right.
Easily true and a very stupid thing.
Does that mean we drink twice?
I want to. I'm getting low on my drink.
I want to. I'm not super low. All right, there we go.
Kent doesn't watch it. We might have to do another intermission.
Yeah, that's true. My second drink has gone a lot faster than my first one. It's like the stupid is building up.
It's not because he said more things that are correct, but
that's true. No, he hasn't.
Maybe.
80% of the potassium in a small sample of iron meteorite can be removed by distilled water in 4.5 hours. Well, if you can take out 80% of it in 4.5 hours, how can you trust any dates you're going to obtain by that?
What?
I got to drink to that.
No, I had to rewind. I don't even get what he's saying, but yeah, I'll drink to it.
Like you washed the potassium out.
As much as 80% in a small sample of iron meteorite can be removed by distilled water in 4.5 hours. Oh, okay. You think that the world is full of distilled water washing out small iron meteorite? I mean, I don't...
Potassium in a small sample of iron meteorite can be removed by distilled water in 4.5
When you
hours.
wash potassium with distilled water from an iron meteorite? What happens to that potassium that you removed?
I presume it stays in the water.
No, it disappears forever magically.
Oh.
What about the potassium that's left over? Couldn't you still use that to radiometrically date it?
Oh, actually, German Furman, that's a good point. If there's ever actually a Dapper Dino anime, there has to be an episode that cameos Trey the Explainer's dinosaur in it. Yeah, I'd be open to that. Yeah. That'd be pretty cool. Also, I don't know if you can hear this. No, apparently not. Apparently I can scratch my chin without you guys hearing it. Good. Because my chin is itchy.
Well, if you can take out 80% of it in 4.5 hours, how can you trust any dates you're going to obtain by that?
From a small sample with distilled water, Kent. That's not exactly how all asteroids are. And none of them in nature are going to be in submersion. Distilled water. I already drank for how stupid that is. I don't know if I can drink again for it.
Canadian Journal of Earth Science ran an article and said, in conventional interpretation of potassium-argon age, it's common to discard ages which are substantially too high or too low compared to the rest of...
What's that? Sorry.
I said make Kent bigger again, but you did already.
Oh.
the group, or with other available data such as the geologic time scale. There it is.
Okay, someone in 1979 said a thing.
If you test a sample and its number's too high or too low or doesn't match the geologic column, it gets thrown out.
Maybe in 1979 that's what they did, but nowadays we do things like isochron or photon resonance or stratigraphy, and we find out why it's erroneous. And it almost never is erroneous.
Well, then why are you wasting your time and money testing it? You already know how old you'd like it to be. Give it a number.
German Furman, how are you asking me how I reach my chin to scratch it? I mean, obviously I have one of those back scratcher things. I just use it for my chin. Duh. Come on, man. Get a brain, Moran. Sorry, you're not a Moran.
Pick a number. It's dumb. The KBS tuff, a tuff is a layer of ash or lava, or generally ash that has been packed and turned into rock. It's called tuff, T-U-F-F. K. Brenzenmeyer had been dating these samples of with potassium-argon dating because here's the theory. When a volcano erupts, the rocks and stuff coming out is really hot, and any gases in it should be able to escape. Well, potassium slowly turns into argon, and argon is a gas. They use it for welding over at the shop. Argon welding, you know.
Hey, he got that right. Well, I'll drink for that. Good job, Kent. I'm proud of you. You did it.
Argon's a gas. So since potassium turns to argon, when the rock gets melted and shot out of a volcano, all the gas escapes. And so the theory says this new layer should have been, the clock is now reset. It is 0 years old. Even though when it was in the Earth, it's, 4 billion years old. Now all the argon's gone because it accumulated this argon for millions of years, but now, poof, it melted and the gas is gone. So we can potassium-argon date this lava or ash or any volcanic material. Well, they had been dating this layer of ash named after K. Brenzenmeyer because she did research on it. They said it's 212 to 230 million years old. All the scientists agreed that layer of ash is around 200 million years old. Until Richard Leakey came along in 1972, and he's digging around under the KBS tuff, and he finds a perfectly normal human skull. Everybody panicked and said, wow, how can you have a normal human skull under 200 million year old rock when man didn't even evolve till like 3 million years ago?
All right, so I am extremely skeptical of this original dating because the skull that he showed was clearly of a suid artiodactyl. So
clearly, obvious. I think everyone knew that.
Right. Everyone did. If you didn't, then why are you even here?
Yeah, exactly. What, are you here to learn or something? Because that's why I'm here.
Oh. Hold on 1 second. So I have to double check to see if his original date for this is actually what I thought
Everybody
it was.
2.
Yeah. So I just double checked. It went from 2.188 to 2.3, so, you know, not super far off. Basically, Ken Hovind just made a 2 decimal point error. It was never dated at 212 to 230. It went from 2.18 to 2.3 as the estimate to like 1.8 to whatever, 1 point whatever. Basically, it went down by 1 million years. He's just straight lying to you here. So I'll take a drink.
In April of 1970.
No, I think Kent Hovind is misquoting them.
Oh.
I don't think it was nature's mistake.
Possible.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so they looked for things. Was this a burial? Did somebody dig through the rock and bury this person down here? You know, was there an earthquake? Is there a fault line near here someplace? Nope.
Keep it. Oh, drink for Godzilla.
All we can conclude is there's a normal human skull under 200 million year old rock.
Or
so,
2 million
what do you
year old
conclude?
rock.
Well, one group studied this and said, well, that proves aliens came here 200 million years ago. Would you just consider that maybe the rock's not 200 million years old?
Drink twice because it's
After they found out it...
That was a joke? Alright, fine, I'll drink twice. But at that rate, I might have to get another drink.
I think it was a joke.
Do I have to? Yeah, I do have to get another drink. I'm sorry. Well, I can't go the next 18 minutes with no drink. All right, so we're not going to do the full intermission. Whenever I'm back, but here we go.
Yeah, all right.
I want to take a moment to talk about something serious. There is a problem facing late surviving non-avian dinosaurs in modern America. Hunting is very strictly regulated, and only allowed at certain times of the year. This means that for much of the year we have to rely on farm-raised food, which means money. If you want to help a starving dinosaur, please consider donating on Patreon, or buying from my merch store. Links are in the description. Please help. Dinosaurs all over YouTube are depending on you to help them through the hunting off-season.
Right, well, we got through the sad commercial, but not all the way through the happy slideshow. So, here we go. We got 3 minutes and 50 seconds left. We're gonna do it. Even if that means that...
We're finishing no matter what.
I think, is that fair? Even if it takes us a little bit over?
No matter what.
Fair enough. Here we go.
Could not be an intrusion or a burial or anything else. It had to be legitimately placed there. I mean, the person was buried under this ash layer.
Okay.
They took 10 more samples of the KBS tuff and dated them again. Keep in mind, they'd already dated them a bunch of times. And everybody agreed it's 212 million years old. But now...
Well, no one agreed to that, because that was never the agreed age. But okay.
Now they take 10 more samples and check them again and say, oh no, it's only 0.5 to 2.6 million.
Nope, that was also never said. I checked on that too. Oh, I'm gonna drink because he can't get any of these facts right.
They're just numbers.
Yeah, what a
No
number.
meaning.
Yeah.
Add collecting to them, and then they work. Except sometimes even that doesn't work, so you have to add gob.
I don't remember that one.
I don't remember what he says.
Well, that's way down from 212. Okay, they dropped the number way down. But they're still getting a 500% error.
And again, with the percents on error, which I'll drink for. But again, Kent, the first Google search on this, KBS Tuft. Or Tough, sorry, not Tuft, Tough. I do that a lot. I actually add T's to words. I noticed that when I was reading Dracula the other day. By the way, if you didn't know, I have released the first chapter of Dracula on Top Hats Off. I'm going to be releasing hopefully all of the chapters of Dracula, and there are going to be other voice actors besides me. So we have 2 different women for both Mina and Lucy, one each. We have another actor for Dr. Seward. I'm doing Jonathan Harker's parts, and I'm hoping I can get maybe Bent or Duke to do either the one Van Helsing part and or the narrator part when there's news clippings. So if you want an audiobook of Dracula, it's going to be coming out in a serialized fashion on Top Hats Off. And drink for Godzilla! So there you go. There's news. I also have a reading of The Raven from Edgar Allan Poe on my Top Hats Off channel. So check that out too. If you're not subscribed to Top Hats Off, go subscribe. There's some stuff on there you might like. There's art streams, there's gaming streams, there's literature. It's basically the stuff that I don't think fits on this channel, but I still want to put it out there. It's on that channel.
Should have Bent Hovind on that channel to do a 52-character password.
If you want to do that, I'll put it up there.
You will see.
Okay.
From 0.5 to 2.6. This is not an exact science. See, back in 1770, they taught the kids the Earth is 70,000 years old. In 1905, they said it's 2 billion years old. By 1969, when I was a kid and they went to the moon, they brought back moon rocks and said, oh, wow, they're 3.5 billion years old. That was the official age, 3.5 billion. Today they tell, and by the way, they did it with potassium-argon dating. You can see the article here from the newspaper. Today they tell the kids it's 4.6 billion years old.
The moon or the rocks? I don't know. Okay. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and find a picture of the moon. Okay. So, let's see. What's a good one? Yeah, here we go. Okay, let's open this in a new tab and bring it over here. Okay, so here's something I want you to notice, right? So the Lunar mare, which is Italian sort of Latin for sea, they're actually relatively smooth lava beds, right? With few craters. But I want you to notice that a number of the craters that are actually on this lunar mare are actually filled with lava. What this means is that the craters must have hit... Oh, drink for Godzilla. What this means is that the craters in question must have actually been formed before the lava filled in the area. Which means the craters are older than the lava. So if you test the age of the lava, what you're going to get is the age at which the lava cooled, not the age of the moon. So the very existence of lunar mare mean that there are rocks on the moon younger than the age of the moon. So it's not at all surprising that the moon might have formed some 4.5 billion years ago, but that there would be rocks on the moon significantly younger than that. All you have to do to figure that out is look at the moon. Just look at it. That's it. So there we go. There's one more down. Thanks, Kent.
You realize the Earth is getting older at the rate of 21 million years per year? That's 40 years per minute.
Yeah, sure.
Gotta drink for that.
Yeah.
because that's stupid.
Yeah, if you go back to...
I know what he's getting at, but it's stupid.
Yeah, if you go back to some time when our measuring options were less precise, then yeah, that may have in fact been the case. Like if you average out. But the thing is that initially our estimates as to how old the Earth was were... I was going to say stupid, that's not true. We're less well informed. We had fewer ways to tell.
Wild dates are always obtained with carbon dating or potassium-argon dating.
Oh, I'll point out that the 4.5 billion age that he gave here, which was probably at least a decade ago, since this is before he went to jail, that hasn't really changed. So I guess that slowed down real fast. It's almost like we converge on an actual answer.
Dates that don't fit the theory are rejected. Only the correct dates ever get published. Well, then why are you wasting anybody's time? Why? It's not science. The original content cannot possibly be known. You can't know there's been no contamination. You can't know that the decay rates always remain the same. You can't know those things, okay? I'll give you a couple examples of potassium-argon problems, and then we'll take a little break. Basalt from Mount Etna in Sicily. By the way, I climbed on Mount Etna when I was over there in Sicily. They knew it erupted in 122 BC. They said they knew it erupted in 122 BC. There were written records. When the potassium-argon dated it, said it's 2.25 million years old.
All right, so recently I actually had a conversation with Colton, our resident geology master's student, about this whole topic of relatively recent volcanic eruptions testing with potassium-argon. So, as it turns out, argon is hard to completely extract from testing chambers because it's a noble gas and it's heavy, so it just kind of tends to sit there. Now, they can flush most of it out, but they can't flush all of it out. And what that means is that in extremely young samples, that trace amount of argon will actually register on the test, which essentially means 250,000 years old or whatever else he's going to give for these recent potassium-argon dates are essentially pegged low, right? It's like, imagine if your speedometer started at 30 miles an hour, right? And it went to whatever, 120 or kilometers. It doesn't matter what, right? It started at 30. That's the lowest it reads. If you're traveling at 5 miles an hour, what's it going to read? 30.
5.
No, because it doesn't go down to 5. It's going to read 30.
Look, I'm texting. I'm sorry.
I forgive you. So yeah, that's all this is. This is just these machines that do potassium-argon dating cannot go below certain values simply because of limitations of the technology. So all you can tell from potassium-argon dating this basalt from Mount Etna is that it's so young that the test can't tell you how old it is. That's it. It's a limit of the physical machine.
Excuse
They
me?
should have calibrated
It should
for
be like
that.
2,000.
You literally can't, though.
They should have done it magically, obviously.
Oh, right. Good point.
When they tested lava from a Hawaiian volcano, they knew it erupted in 1801. The people watched it happen. That's the lava flow that covered our village, 1801.
Yep. Again,
It gave an
same
age
thing.
of 1.6 million years old. That's in 1968. Let's see if it gets better. Basalt from a volcano in Hawaii
It doesn't, for the same reason.
erupted in 1959. When they tested it, it gave an age of 8.5 million years old. Another volcano in Mount Etna from the 1964 eruption gave an age of 700,000. The 72 eruption gave an age of 350,000. It was erupting when I was over there in 2002, I believe. I don't remember. Lava from Mount St. Helens was tested, which my sister lives just 60 miles from there. They tested the lava from Mount St. Helens, brand new lava coming out of the volcano.
That was almost Mothra. I don't know why it stopped, but we're going to drink for it anyway.
It was Mothra.
Not sure why.
I heard.
Yeah, I mean, I did too.
Sample, how old is it? They tested it 5 different ways and got 5 different numbers. All the way from 350,000 to 2.8 billion. Notice, all 5 numbers are different, number 1, and all 5 numbers are wrong, Number 2. They're wrong. It doesn't work. So again, when you test a sample of known age, it's assumed to work. And if you,
They're wrong because Ken said they're wrong.
Well, they are wrong. I mean, they don't actually give the actual date. But the thing is, and I wish I had Colton here, because he actually gave me some sources I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't want to scroll back through my Twitter message feed, where they actually did the Mount Vesuvius date with a different technique other than calcium-argon, and they managed recently to get to the exact calendar year that's recorded in Roman historical accounts. They just used the correct technique, not the wrong one. All right, we only got 41 seconds. We can do this.
you test a sample of unknown age, it is, we know it doesn't work when you know the age, but when you don't know the age, well, then they say it works. So,
no, what's actually happening is that when you use the wrong test for the samples, you get erroneous results. It's like, I don't even know. It's like trying to measure your trip to the store with a yardstick. It's not going to work. There's way too much going on there. T-Lane says, new rule, drink when Chess joins the chat. As long as it's not every time she chats, because that'll be way too much. Maybe.
it just doesn't work. And I'm tired of them using our tax dollars to call that science. That is not science. That's pure imagination. There's a whole bunch more in the book, Evolution Cruncher, if you want more on that, or in the RATE project book, Radioactive Isotopes and the Age of the Earth, if you want more. Or there's a whole lot of good stuff in Walt Brown's book, In the Beginning.
All right, here's the thing I want to say about the RATE book. Or it's actually 2 books, so... That study concluded with that in order to account for the ridiculously old ages indicated by radioisotope dating, quote-unquote exotic solutions are required. The RATE study ends with, we need magic, or it doesn't work. Magic or the Earth is old. That's how the conclusion is for the RATE study. So anyone trying to tell you that the RATE study shows that the Earth can be young, yeah, only if you assume magic.
He's a PhD in physics, Air Force Academy professor for years in Colorado. Got great stuff in here. I differ with him on a couple of little things. Of course, I differ with probably everybody on a couple of things. The only one right on everything, of course, is me. But we're trying to get them all converted.
Oh, that was a joke. Yeah, that's a joke. Drink for the joke.
Take a 5-minute break, and we'll come back and talk about, have fresh dinosaur bones been found?
All right. Well, that is it for this video. So that means we're going to go slightly over. Remember when I thought we might go a little under on today's episode?
How would you make it the full time?
You were right. All right. Well, so some channel news in case you're turning in late or anything like that. Thursday, I know it's normally an upload for me, where I just upload usually it's like a 20-minute or less video. This week, it's going to be a live stream for an after show of a debate between Sal and Dan on Modern Day Debate about genetic entropy. So watch that debate on Wednesday, and then tune in here at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for the after show. Then Saturday, I'll do an upload. Then Tuesday will be another Kent with Bent. Then presumably Thursday will be another upload. And I have no idea what's happening the Saturday after that. I'm actually thinking about taking a Saturday off, so it might be nothing.
What?
I know, crazy, right?
That's kind of crazy.
Let's see. I want to give a special thank you to all of the people who super chatted, including Josiah Hansen, Vandalia 1998, Mothra J Disco, Ilya Moon, and Eric Virthaler 92. There is the possibility that Cheshire will be hosting a stream about the Hovind lawsuit. We're not sure when that might be, or if it might be. I mean, it might not happen, but if it does, go stay tuned over there, and we'll go through it. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say a whole lot about it, but we can at least, have fun and laugh and whatnot. Let's see. Oh, and again, thank you to everyone who helped with the community army project. It is coming along. I currently, basically, in order to progress, what I need is the paintbrushes and 3 more paints. That's it. once I get those, I'm gonna start painting. And yeah, you guys are gonna be able to see some painted stuff. I'm working on a way to actually be able to film myself painting. I'm not sure what that's gonna be. I might like mount a webcam to something, and if you see human hands painting, it's because I hired a human painter to come into my apartment and paint for me. That's what that is. So don't be like, oh, Dapper outed himself as a human. That's not what's happening. I'm directing that human off air or out of frame, obviously. Let's see. I don't think there's actually really anything else. Bent, what do you got?
Copper magma.
Is that a copper bracelet?
Copper bracelet made out of copper.
Nice.
Pure copper with maybe some...
Speaking of which, I'm trying to get Bent Hovind to get himself a Minotaur's Space Marine army because they are the copperiest of Space Marines. So, you know.
Not going to happen.
It might happen.
Anything's possible.
I'm telling you, man, it's a fun game.
Anything is possible.
And I'm trying to encourage him, like we could do a Crusade campaign with the 9th edition rules when they come out pretty soon, where we can grow our characters and bitter rivalries, and we could not televise but record our games for you guys. We want Top Hats off. So I'm trying to encourage him to at least put them on his wish list.
That's true.
So, but I think that is basically it. I know normally I do a bit of a gaming stream on Top Hats Off after these. Tonight I am a little bit wiped out. I don't think I'm going to do that tonight. And by I don't think, I mean it's not happening. Just don't look for it. Yeah.
You're getting old. You did just turn 150 million and 72.
Yep.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty old.
Yeah, it's pretty old. So sorry about that. If you were looking forward to that, which I mean, like maybe 7 of you were. So
maybe.
Anyway, unless anyone has anything really quick for me, do. Painting collaboration with Cheshire Vic. I don't know if Cheshire Vic has ever painted miniatures. Actually, that's you know what? I'll ask her that when I get off air. Because if she has, that would be interesting. And Cheshire Vic and I are trying to figure out a way to do an IRL thing. And if she actually does get into the miniature painting, that could be a thing that we do. So, yeah. All right. Well, good night, everybody. Bent Hovind, remind everybody to visit Copper Magma.
Yeah, go to coppermagma.com.
Free music.
Get the free music and all that. Just do it.
And you guys have been practicing the theme song for this channel.
Yes, we have. Actually, we have another version from Sunday that I could send you if you want.
Okay.
Dapper.
I am interested. But when that gets recorded...
So
when that gets like professional level recorded, it's going to replace the current version. It's going to be even better.
That's the plan, and it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be good.
All right. So yeah, look forward to hopefully in the relatively near future, the foreseeable future at least, there will be an even better version of the Dapper Dino theme song, which is called Bows, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Okay. Well. Later, everybody, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And thank you again for all the super chats and the supporting me with the Amazon wish list. And also, quick thing, memberships may be a thing soon. I can now get memberships on YouTube.
Nice.
I have to work out like what emojis and whatnot I want. But yeah, membership is probably a thing that's going to happen in next month or so. So... Bye, everybody.